Alright, it looks like things are well and truly ramping up, and the hype machine for the fourth and final core of the Thousand Year Blood War arc anime has been set into motion. As of last night, at the time of recording, it's been confirmed that the first 3 episodes of the Thousand Year Blood War arc core 4, The Calamity, will air in select US cinemas from June 25th to June 29th. So, prior to the streaming release date of the final season, which, as of yet, is still unknown. This is really exciting as it not only hammers home the fact that the final core is just on the horizon, but also the very idea of Bleach on the big screen feels well earned and warranted as we ring in the finale of what I think has been a very hugely successful revival, essentially, of the franchise. Certainly the Thousand Year Blood War arc anime itself seems to have really resonated with fans, both new and old, and as a fan, I can tell you that that is the case. As I said, the actual streaming air date is still unknown, and that's the date the majority of people are going to be able to start watching. We know it's coming in July, but we don't yet have a set date. That will likely come with the advent of a full trailer, which, to be honest, I expect to see pretty soon. I would have thought around the end of this month, maybe. I think they're usually about 2 months out from release, so I guess we'll see, but with this news I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the first episode of Core 4 arriving in the middle of July, maybe even around Ichigo's birthday. Though that does mean for the people who don't get the chance to see the episodes early, attempting to dodge spoilers for a month or so, which could be a little annoying. Anyway, the news comes via Variety, which has the exclusive, and I first came across this article thanks to Neonzel over on Reset Era, as well as users J-Horror and Hypno, who also posted the news. So let's have a quick read of this Variety article, which also features a press release for the news as well. Fathom Entertainment and Viz Media will bring the opening 3 episodes of Bleach Thousand Year Blood War The Calamity to cinemas across the US for a limited theatrical engagement on June 25th to the 29th, before the final season reaches broadcast or streaming platforms. Both subtitled and English dubbed versions of the episodes will screen nationwide as part of the premiere run, which will also include behind-the-scenes footage and a conversation with series creator Tite Kubo, alongside chief series director Tomohisa Taguchi and series director Hikaru Murata. The Calamity picks up the Thousand Year Blood War arc at its most volatile point, as the 13 courtguard squads and surviving Quincy's converge on the Varvelt, the royal palace now under Vandenreich control, for a final confrontation with Yhwach. Anime fans are in for a thrilling experience as Bleach Thousand Year Blood War wraps up its groundbreaking run on the big screen, said Ray Nutt, chief executive officer at Fathom Entertainment. Fathom has pioneered the theatrical experience for compelling, non-traditional content with built-in fan bases, and Bleach fans are in for a treat with the first 3 episodes and exclusive behind-the-scenes content from our friends at Viz Media beginning June 25th. The theatrical release marks the latest milestone for a franchise that has seen a significant commercial and critical resurgence since its 2022 return. Originally airing 366 episodes between 2004 and 2012 as one of Shonen Jump's defining titles alongside One Piece and Naruto, Bleach resumed with the Thousand Year Blood War adaptation and quickly reasserted its cultural footprint, winning My Anime List's Best Anime of 2022 and earning Anime of the Year at the Anime Trending Awards in 2024. The series has drawn consistent ratings of around 9.4 out of 10 across fan and critic platforms and received multiple nominations at the 2024 and 25 Crunchyroll Anime Awards, including Best Action, Best Continuing Series, Best Score for composer Shiro Sagisu, and Best English Voice Actor Performance for Johnny Young Bosch. Viz Media's social content for the franchise accumulated over 25 million views and 105 million plus impressions in 2025, while the series has logged more than 62 million hours watched on Hulu. I did a cursory amount of research into Fathom Entertainment as I weren't really sure who they were or what they did. It does say a little bit at the bottom here of the Variety article, Fathom Entertainment, which is owned by AMC Entertainment, Cinemark Holdings and Regal Cineworld Group, distributes event cinema content to theatres worldwide, and kind of diving a little deeper into that, what that really means, It's slightly more unorthodox content, the kind of thing that you wouldn't normally expect to see in a cinema, so rather than your typical movies, it is, well, things like this special anime premiere, but also slightly more mainstream content events as well, sports, music, that sort of thing. I will say that it's really cool that this seems to be the full package. I love they have both sub and dub options available, as well as behind the scenes footage, and even an appearance from Kubo himself, which is really awesome. I think I've only ever seen one subtitled movie in the cinema that I can remember, recently anyway, and that was The Boy and the Heron. But it's definitely a novelty seeing not only Bleach mentioned in Variety, but terms like Vandenreich and Varvelt, but again, I absolutely love to see it. It's also very interesting seeing how the CEO of Fathom Entertainment describes the series, as it gives us a bit of insight into how Bleach is perceived, I guess, on a slightly more mainstream level. As he called it, and again I quote, compelling non-traditional content with built-in fan bases. I mean, that does seem to describe Bleach fairly well to me, and I love the idea of it having a built-in fan base. This is a fan base that's been pretty entrenched. Obviously, there's a ton of new people to the series, and that is great, but so many of us really hail from potentially a decade or longer in terms of our love of the franchise. I also really like hearing not only how well the franchise is doing with this resurgence, which I think many of us again have been able to glean for ourselves, but again hearing about how the Thousand Year Blood War arc anime has been received, and perhaps more crucially, how that reception has been noticed by more outside parties, shall we say. It feels very promising for the future of Bleach overall. Now, sadly, there's still no word yet on these episodes coming to other markets, and as someone living in the UK, I would definitely love to see it here. Though at the same time, I feel like I'm on a bit of a crossroads with this because I want to do my normal live reactions. So I don't see how that would work. I kind of feel like I'm weighing up the novelty of seeing Bleach on the big screen versus doing my usual live reactions. And I think I would miss doing those with you guys. Plus, it would kind of drive me nuts to have 3 missing when I've done all of them to date. So, I don't know, that's for me to figure out. And again, it's not even been announced to be getting a UK release yet, so I guess we'll have to see. Anyway, to wrap this uncharacteristically short news video up with a bit of substance, what are fans likely to see in those first 3 episodes? Well, look, let me put it this way. If I don't get the opportunity to see them early, then I really hope that I don't get spoiled. And speaking of which, spoilers ahead, potentially for the upcoming episodes, but there is a high likelihood that those episodes will cover Yoruichi and Urahara versus Askin, including the long-awaited reveal of my favourite bankai, which is Urahara's Kanon Biraki Benehime Aratame, the bankai that I've been the most excited to see. It's also totally possible that one or more of these episodes is completely new as well, considering the breadth and depth of how much new content we're anticipating receiving this season. In the same way, Core 2 opened with a brief look at Yuha backstory, I could absolutely see Core 4 opening with a tantalizing glimpse into the Soul King's backstory. At least, that's what I hope happens, as again I've said before. I'm definitely hoping the final core completes Adnias' tale that they have so far woven into cores 1, 2, and 3. And placing that at the start of the season makes sense because it's kind of free space, essentially, to put whatever you want in there, front and center. You don't have to find a suitable place to cram it in later on down the line. You can just open with the backstory and then reveal that Yuha was having a dream, or something like that, while everyone else continues to make their way to his throne room. That's a perfect way to incorporate a potentially sizable flashback without disrupting the already established narrative. It's also highly likely that these first 3 episodes introduce us to Chad and Ganju versus the statues. And as I said, when looking at that first trailer, the teaser trailer for Core 4, that fight, I guess you can call it, looks like it might even be extended somehow. Also, it's funny seeing people discussing the Core 4 key art, which features Ganju as well as Ichigo's friends, as of course it's meant to be a callback to the Soul Society arc. This entire grouping of characters is meant to be a callback to the Soul Society arc, but I can understand why people are wondering why the focus is on these characters in particular. Ganju notwithstanding, though, these guys are meant to be the main characters, and this is supposed to be the end of the Bleach anime now, so I simply would not be surprised if they all get more to do here, or even potentially considerably changed up storylines. So yeah, as for these 3 episodes that are gonna be shown in the cinema, what are we likely to get from them? Assuming there's no half recap episode like there was last time with episode 27, episode 41 will likely reintroduce us to the story, either through a flashback for Adnias and the world itself, kind of helping to really re-establish the stakes and show what's on the line here, or we might carry on immediately from where we left off and find ourselves with Chad, Ganju, and the stone statues. From there, episode 41 and 42 will likely focus on Askin's battle. To be honest, I have no idea how long this thing's going to be. I think there's potential here for 2 episodes, but it may all end up in episode 42. Especially if they are really conscious for time. Although again, going back to that video I made a few months ago now, it was rumoured, I think, that there's going to be about 6 episodes worth of brand new content, so they shouldn't be feeling pressed for time at all, to be totally honest. After Askin, it's of course logical that we'll get Gerard's new fight, which again I am very curious to see. I still maintain that it would be quite funny to have the Cour open with the Vizard all lying defeated before Gerard, though I'm definitely hoping that doesn't happen. And again, if I don't get the opportunity to see these episodes live, I really hope nothing to do with the Vizards ends up being spoiled somehow. But again, we're gonna have to wait and see. Alright everyone, that's it for today's video. Just a really quick news update for you. It's been a while since we've had one of these, but hey, we've finally got some news. The 1000-Year Blood War Arc Core 4 is so close now. So close, in fact, that things are actually starting to happen. The hype machine is engaged. The first 3 episodes will be releasing in select US cinemas nationwide from June 25th to June 29th, just prior to Core 4 arriving on streaming services for, well, potentially everyone else. Though I'm still hoping, fingers crossed, that this event does come to other countries as well, but for now we're going to have to wait and see. Okay everyone, once again, thank you so very much for watching. Consider hitting subscribe down below if you haven't done already to help the channel reach 300,000 subs by the end of the year. We're almost a quarter of the way through the year now, so the clock is ticking. And if you haven't yet hit subscribe, do consider doing so, especially as we encroach upon the start of Core 4. Again, your support is greatly appreciated. And speaking of which, check out the Patreon as well, where you can help support the channel that extra step further. And again, it does all mean the absolute world to me, so thank you all so very much. Alright guys, well until next time, I'll catch you later, and I'll see you then.